Hello, and welcome back to the It's Just Music YouTube channel and another episode of Just One Hit, where I, your host, discusses the one-hit wonders of days gone by. And by days gone by, I mean at the minimum 10 years or so ago. Today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite songs of all time, and that is Duncan Sheik's 1996 debut single, Barely Breathing. Barely Breathing is probably peak 90s adult contemporary, and is probably top 5 one-hit wonders of all time, at least to myself. In the Steal My Sunshine episode, I said the 90s had the best crop of one-hit wonders ever, and not to debate me on that because I will pull out a list. And with this being released in 1996, I'm just cementing my biased opinion with this episode. I remember hearing this one all the time on the radio growing up on my local Light FM station, and it would be in constant rotation to the point that I thought the song was released when I was in middle school, not when I was only 4 years old. Or 1 if we're going by leap year logic. As someone who's never been in a relationship at my big old age of 32, Duncan does a damn good job capturing the feelings of a relationship gone sour and how bitter he is about it. I came across this blurb on the song's Last FM page, and I feel like it does a really great job encapsulating what makes the song hit so hard. The pitiful male angst, the skunky bass line brought out by the superb mixing, the fact that I forgot about this childhood gem until I was listening to every Billboard Hot 100 list from the 90s, and it made me gasp when it came on. Just a perfect storm of emotions. 10 out of 10. I couldn't agree more. So let's take a look at Duncan Sheik's Barely Breathing. Duncan Sheik was born November 18, 1969, in Montclair, New Jersey, and spent some of his formative years with his grandparents. His grandmother was a piano student at Juilliard, and Sheik credits her for his initial interest in music. His paternal grandfather also played trumpet in a 1940s big band. He grew up playing classical and jazz music at camps in addition to dabbling in rock music during his free time, joining his first rock band at the age of 12. Sheik mentions during his time at Andover boarding school in Massachusetts, the school's administration took away his musical equipment when he refused to stop playing them too loud. Sheik went on to attend Brown University, where he studied semiotics, which I had never heard of until doing the research for this episode, and according to Encyclopedia Britannica, semiotics, also known as semiology, is the study of signs and sign-using behavior. So think people studying why the color black is used for mourning, or why the gavel is a symbol of justice in the court of law. Sheik also began practicing Buddhism after being raised Catholic, and played guitar in a band called Liz and Lisa. The Lisa in said band? Lisa Loeb, known for her #1 single, Stay, I Missed You. After graduating from Brown in 1992, Sheik traveled to California to pursue a career in music. Brown had a bit of help securing his first deal with the help of one Tracy Ellis Ross, actress and daughter of Diana Ross of the Supremes fame. Ross gave her mother Sheik's demo, which led him to signing to Immortal Records, a now defunct independent label who helped launch the careers of big rock acts like Korn, 30 Seconds to Mars, and Incubus. According to Sheik, Immortal had more rap acts than anything during the period he was active with them, leaving him in a kind of limbo with his career. 2 years later, he signed a publishing deal with BMG and was brought out of his contract by Atlantic Records. For his self-titled debut, Sheik worked with English producer Rupert Hine, who worked with Tina Turner, Suzanne Vega, and Rush, just to name a few. And speaking of the hit, let's talk about it for a bit. Again, I was only 4 when Barely Breathing was doing this thing on the charts, but it did get consistent airplay on my city's local pop station, which my mom loved listening to. I really started appreciating the song once I got my first iPod during my junior year of high school. It always filled me with a bit of melancholy, but I wasn't sure why that was. I didn't truly absorb the song's meaning until I was way into adulthood, when my love of the song was reignited again due to, of all things, Glee. Corey Monteith and Darren Criss did a cover of the song in the episode called The Breakup. The cover is a bit sterile, as most of the covers are in Glee, but it's decent. I also won't listen to the song unless it has that extended guitar intro on the album version and not the video version's abridged take on it. That buildup is so pertinent to the song's overall tone. I think one of the best aspects of the song is that Sheik really sells bitterness well. His defeated, almost deadpan delivery of the lyrics during the verses, like, I can imagine him staring dejected at the person he's singing about in the booth strumming on his guitar. It's so catty. If anyone here is a K-pop fan, Think of the spoken word section of Got7's If You Do, and I'll put a clip of it in here somewhere. Apparently, Sheik's lyrical bluntness caused a bit of a stir, with him stating in a Billboard article that he was just writing about someone torturing him and that they, the other person in the relationship, didn't want the world to know that. Sheik said that he didn't intend the song to be a hit, that he only included the song to round out the track list of his album. In an interview with Daniel Van Alken, Sheik says that Barely Breathing was just a compromise with his label. Fine, I'll give you a pop song. Be happy and shut up. Label executives can often be the worst judges of what's good music and what's not, and what's going to be commercial and what's not. Nobody knows. Even the artist doesn't know, and the label doesn't know. Nobody knows what's going to be the hit. It's this amalgam of forces that come together, and all of a sudden you have a song that everyone's listening to. I find it quite amusing that this seems to be a consistent theme with a lot of musicians who have that one big hit. They present the music they've already worked on. The execs are like, we like it, but where's the hit? The artist rolls their eyes, and the song they write after that becomes the hit. He also states in that article while under Atlantic, they didn't force him to put out any music that he didn't want to. So despite Barely Breathing being more or less a well here, damn record, Sheik still liked it enough for him to release it. Barely Breathing wasn't a runaway hit upon its initial release. It took over half a year before it charted on Billboard, and while we do have examples of songs catching fire years later thanks to a movie or a TV placement or TikTok trends, I don't imagine a label nowadays being patient enough to nurture a single from a new artist for that long. It either hits immediately or we move on to the next single after 2 or so weeks. In that aforementioned Billboard article, Atlantic VP Ron Shapiro said that they really believed in the single, and because of the longevity of Jewel's debut single, Who Will Save Your Soul, that the label maintained faith that it would eventually become a hit. In the November 1996 issue of Billboard, Larry Flick said of Barely Breathing, "The hook is breezy and memorable, and the words are intelligent. Sheik has an easygoing style that pleases and reveals nuance with repeated listens." And again, I could not agree more. Barely Breathing was released in May 1996 before its parent album hit shelves, but it didn't begin charting until late November after Atlantic serviced the record to contemporary hit radio. It reached its peak of number 16 in May of 1997, spending a total of 55 consecutive weeks on the chart, and at the time being the 4th longest running hit. It fared better on the adult contemporary charts, peaking at number 1 and number 2 on the adult alternative songs and the adult top 40 respectively. The song also peaked at number 12 in Canada and number 40 in Iceland. The song's success caused it to hit number 18 on the Hot 100 year-end chart for 1997. Barely Breathing was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance in 1998, but unfortunately lost to the behemoth that was Elton John's Candle in the Wind 1997. Sheik's follow-up singles from the album, She Runs Away and Reasons for Living, didn't match the success of Barely Breathing, failing to touch the Hot 100 altogether, but the former hit number 24 on the adult pop airplay and the latter number 3 on the dance charts. Duncan Sheik, the album, peaked at number 83 on the Billboard 200 and went gold, his highest peaking and best-selling album to date. In an interview with American Songwriter, Sheik says that despite the success of Barely Breathing and by extension his debut album, that he wasn't really happy. "There was an aspect of me looking a gift horse in the mouth. I knew that I was being put in this very top 40 context, and I was rebelling against that. I wanted people to understand my alternative bona fides, that I was somebody who listened to Depeche Mode and The Smiths and Psychedelic Furs. I wasn't somebody who listened to top 40 music, really. But it didn't matter. The culture is going to do with you what it will. So that began this long process of me trying to reclaim my good name." Sheik's follow-up record, Humming, didn't do nearly as well as his self-titled debut, peaking at number 163 and staying on the chart for only 2 weeks. It spawned the single Bite Your Tongue. I listened to Bite Your Tongue for this episode, and I don't know if this sounds or feels like a first single. It's a very middle-of-the-road song. It feels like a radio-only 4th single. It also seems like there was no music video for the song, at least I couldn't find one on YouTube, which makes me think that Atlantic Records didn't really have much faith in the record at all. Duncan released one more album under Atlantic, 2002's Daylight, which included the single On a High, which gave Sheik his only number 1 on the club charts, thanks to a trance remix by Gabriel and Dresden. On a High felt like it should have given Sheik at least a minimum another top 50 placement, but looking at the year-end Billboard charts for 2003, hip-hop and R&B were beginning their dominance on the charts, so it was very much not the toast of the town. Either way, I think it's a pretty solid song, and I suggest that people give it a listen. Funnily enough, in an interview with NPR, Sheik says that he is prouder of his club hits than his top 40 hit Barely Breathing. During Sheik's commercial career, he also worked on other music-related endeavors. He composed the music for the films A Home at the End of the World and Through the Fire. However, Sheik's career really flourished as a composer for musicals. These included Spring Awakening, in which he received Tony and Grammy Awards, a musical adaptation of American Cycle and Because of Winn-Dixie, among others. In an interview with PS Audio, Sheik says that he had a crisis of confidence after his last record with Atlantic, and that musical composition helped him with that. The last time I had any single on the radio was with my last Atlantic record. After that, I wondered what would happen to me. Would I need to find a new career? Part of that is what allowed me to focus on creating Spring Awakening and doing the theater stuff. That was a real boon. Not just in the financial sense. It told me I can actually do this and people will want to listen to the music I make. Sheik still makes his own music, his latest album being 2022's Claptrap on Anti-Fragile Music. He also seems to have a complicated relationship with his mainstream hit. In 2020, he sat down with the Huffington Post and said that in the past he held a grudge for the song because of its longevity on radio. And then other things I was hoping would make it onto the radio never got a chance to, so I was being cock-blocked by my old song at the time. But once Spring Awakening happened, and I had other successes to hang my hat on, I became much more open to performing it without any complicated energy around it.